Hi everyone and welcome to The Crows Show, brought to you by Foodland. I'm Mark Bickley.
And I'm Alana Smith. Well, after today, there's only one minor round left.
So it's a good time to check out the AFL's Stars of 2018.
Those who soared above the rest to stamp their class on the competition.
But first, the AFL's long-distance running machines. Field umpires outrun most players every week. They often cover more than 14 kilometres while making split-second decisions, trying to stay out of the way and receiving some not always helpful advice from the stands. And the most they can earn is a fraction of what many players are paid. So we asked veteran Matthew Nichols to give us an insight into their pre-game, half-time and post-match routines.
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about. Wait!
Okay, now, from the beginning.
G'day guys, I'm Matt Nichols. I'm here today to umpire the Port Adelaide game. It's 2 hours before the start and we've just arrived. In terms of our pre-game, a couple of things we need to do. We need to go and visit the teams just to say g'day, see if anyone's got any questions, probably get a massage. Plenty of time for us to warm up and have a chat amongst ourselves before we get out onto the ground 15 minutes before the game starts. So good luck to us today. I have to say it, probably no one else will.
Round 20 begins with a perfect centre bounce.
Okay, so it's half time, pretty tough conditions out there. It's been a bit wet, the wind's up. We've got about 15 minutes now to have a bit of a breather, have a drink, have a bit of a chat about how the game's going so far before we get out there for the second half.
Wingard can't find a way out. The determination on the tackle from Crouch is given the full reward.
That was a tough day. Clocked up about 15.5, 16 kilometres running out there, and it's fair to say I'm physically tired, but it was a great game of footy. Now we've got a few important things to do after the game. Obviously our own recovery is important, and then probably the most important part of our post-game job is to fill out the Brownlow medal. So, you know, we'd love to have you come and see what happens, but I'd lose my job if you got a look at that. But I hope you've enjoyed this insight into a day in the umpire's life.
Well, now, as the home and away season winds down, it's time to remember the players who've starred in 2018. Some have surprised, others have reminded us why they're champions. Mark, who stood out for you this year?
Yeah, there's been a couple. I think Max Gawn has been outstanding. He's the premier ruckman in the league from where I sit. Tom Mitchell's another one. He's had over 50 possessions in a game a number of times, and he's made 40 possessions just become the norm. And the other one is Patrick Cripps from Carlton. He's just been a star in a team that's been devoid of great players. So for him to play well, you know, when his team isn't winning, I think it's been really great.
Yeah, we've all had great seasons. And who's been the most improved player in your eyes?
Yeah, Sean Higgins from the Kangaroos. I reckon he's just elevated himself. He was always a really solid player, but right now he's amongst the top handful of players in the competition. Another one, which is strangely left field, is Mason Cox from Collingwood. I think he was a bit of a novelty last year and he was in and out of the side, but right now he's become a really important cog in their wheel.
You mentioned your best three off the top. Who would your Brownlow pick be?
Well, I'm hoping Max Gawn wins the Brownlow. We haven't seen a ruckman win it for a long time, and if you think about Melbourne ruckman, you go back to Jim Steins was the last ruckman to win it, so I reckon there's a nice synergy about that.
There you go, Gawn for Brownlow. Heard it here first. Next week we'll examine the Crows list and check out who have been the best performers. Well, still to come on The Crows Show, Tony Modra relives some spectacular memories. Welcome back to The Crow Show. When the club looks for positives out of 2018, it can certainly point to the success of Tom Doedee. As Mark pointed out earlier, the 21-year-old has emerged from the fringe to establish himself as an outstanding intercept defender. Apart from his rapidly developing skills, he's making a name for himself with his courage.
Inside 50-second bounce, runs on his left leg, still goes inside.
Crows fans would have been excused for asking Tom who when Doedee's name was called out on draft night 2015 as the club's first pick. His early selection surprised many judges, but Adelaide's recruiters obviously saw potential. 2 years in the sample proved they made a good call.
I definitely developed as a leader in terms of I went from in my first year probably playing with older blokes. We had a pretty senior sample side, to then playing with, I think I had 6 top-up players at one stage, so I had to be a bit more of a leader and tell them where to go, set up structures. So that's helped me fit in now, where I'm not just a part of the team, I'm leading and giving voice and direction out on the field as well.
Tom admits to being frustrated that his AFL debut didn't come sooner, but his wait ended in round 1 this year. A week later, against the reigning premier, he made the competition take notice.
Rising Star nomination was good. It was nice to get a bit of recognition, and obviously it's something you dream of as a first or third year player. You want to get a nomination like when you play. But yeah, it was a bit funny how I found out. It got out on Twitter before I got notified, so I didn't know whether I was allowed to tell anyone. But yeah, it was good recognition.
Not surprisingly, he lists a Richmond champion among his hardest opponents.
Most intimidating opponent was Dustin Martin in round 2, because I was playing my second game and it's Dusty. Hawkins is a big boy, he's hard to get around. Oh, and then Buddy, I've always wanted to play on Buddy as a Hawthorn fan, and he moves like a small bloke, but he's as tall as the ruckman and can mark and kick him from 70, so.
Not a great kick and a very, very good mark.
So as he matures, who does he turn to for advice?
Gone to Talia if I'm playing on a resting ruckman. I've gone to Brownie if I'm playing on a small. Gone to Jake Kelly or even Brodie Smith from last year if I'm playing on a medium. Cole Cheney's obviously played a lot of footy, so try to take a little bit from everyone rather than just focus on one person.
While Tom has been establishing himself in the backlines, fellow defender Brodie Smith has had to spend most of the season recovering from knee surgery. But he's also found time to catch up with some of the club's youngest supporters, all thanks to Thomas Farms.
Welcome to Thomas Farms Junior Jams. This week we've got Noah. How you going, Noah?
Good.
Good work. How old are you?
I'm 9.
And do you play footy?
Yes.
And do you have a favourite player?
Rory Laird.
Who's your favourite superhero?
Rory Laird.
Right. Good answer. You'll be happy with this one. If you could have any job, what would it be?
Playing football.
Playing footy with Rory Laird? Yeah. If you could eat as much of any food as you want, what would it be?
Squid.
Squid?
And chips.
Squid and chips, bit of salt and pepper?
Yeah.
Would you rather win Mark of the Year or Goal of the Year?
Goal of the Year.
Goal of the Year. And what would your goal look like? Run me through what kind of goal you'd kick.
Rory Laird goal.
Rory Laird goal. Just like a lucky handball out from about 45, snuck forward, not playing on your man. If you could meet anyone in the world, who would it be?
Rory Laird.
Rory Laird. Rory Laird edition. If you had wings, where would you fly and what would you do? Please don't say Laird's house. All right, thanks for joining us, mate.
Now, this year we've been celebrating the great grabs that have been taken over the years and which will always be one of the defining features of our game. Only 2 players have won Mark of the Year 3 times, Hawthorn's Peter Knights and Adelaide's Tony Modra. In this High Flyers segment, brought to you by Flight Centre, we remember some of those magic moments when Mods electrified the crowds.
Gives it his best. Modra! That is the Mark of the Year. I'll say now, no one will beat that.
Well, I think you get an idea of how far your teammates up the ground can kick the ball, so I thought he'd probably struggle for distance, that one, so I thought it might land in the goal square, so I basically prepared myself on down towards the other point post there and just wanted to make sure I got a run up for it.
Well, 45,000 people have risen to one. It's one of the great moments in the game, isn't it? It really is.
Just a response from the crowd that day. It was fantastic just to see, seeing them all standing up on end. It put hairs on the back of my neck when I had to go back and take the shot. So the next important thing, obviously, to kick the goal, which luckily I did.
And he kicks his 7th. Give him the key to the city, Robbo. What a mark, what a goal.
I guess I was one of those ones at school footy, end-to-end kicking, that I was a sucker up the front. It didn't take me long to work out I didn't want to be up the front anymore because everyone would be sitting on your head. So eventually I made my way up the back and started trying to do that to everyone else. Still think it's the best mark to this day I've seen was, on TV, was SANFL actually with Tony Antropus over Rudy Mandenmaker.
His hands. Oh, what a grab.
I was a bit like the gladiator. You give the crowd what they want to see, and that's what they want to see as part of the game, so yeah, bring it on.
Well, he has written his name into the history books with that lead.
In his prime, no one could match the aerial ability of Tony Modra. When we return after the break, opening the throttle at the state's new racetrack. Crows players are a competitive bunch. Doesn't matter whether it's football, fashion or fast cars. We saw it again a few days ago when 4 of them got a taste of the new Tailem Bend racetrack. The circuit will host a V8 supercar sprint next weekend, but the pace was a little slower when Paul Seedsman, Richard Douglas, Josh Jenkins and the AFLW's Courtney Cramey took the wheel, all thanks to Toyota. Players will always grab an opportunity to forget footy for a few hours. So, when Toyota dealers were invited to test drive the new model Corolla, our fearless foursome turned up to feed their need for speed. Each completed 2 laps of the new circuit with a little expert help. First, Josh Jenkins.
Here, this is quite a tricky corner actually. If you have a look at all the marks out here where people got it wrong, they're out of the... No, that's not... I don't have to worry about that one. They're not experts like you. So.
Soon it was time to step up the pace.
So here we're doing like 100k, let it go wide, ease it off, then the V8s will be doing like 180 here.
In the back seat, a slightly nervous Paul Seedsman.
Yeah,
go sideways. Use the whole road.
Add a little bit of brake.
And a gentle dig that Josh is a long way behind the supercar stars.
They get timed with a stopwatch. We probably could have used an egg timer.
Richard Douglas certainly put the foot down.
We on here or what?
Yeah, we are.
Not a good start.
Richard.
And he was quick to claim the fastest lap.
Good, I was a lot quicker than the other boys, yeah, they were driving like grandmas.
Particularly Paul Seedsman.
Paul was a really poor driver today. I was disappointed in his efforts and he talks a big game with a lot of things and he disappointed today, there's no doubt about that.
But Seeds enjoyed his own pace.
It was awesome. I don't know much about car racing, but it seemed pretty good. There's some pretty tight turns out there and a nice straight to be able to let it go.
As for the Corolla, ticks all round.
Seeing the front seat a bit more spacious than I thought it would be, considering it's a small car, and taking around the track it handled really well, so that's pretty impressive.
Next to get behind the wheel was Courtney Cramey, who needed some early encouragement.
Keep going. You're right. Same here. Keep going. Accelerate. You're right. Turn in here.
You say it's all right. I don't feel all right.
But before long, she fancied her form.
All right, I cracked 100. I don't reckon the boys did that, did they?
Goes to show that competitive streak is unmistakable, driving players to excel no matter what they do. So that V8 Supercar Sprint event over 3 days beginning next Friday will be the Ben's first major meet. Later today, the Crows will play their last home game of the year. It's also members' recognition round, so make sure you head to the Adelaide Oval as they take on North Melbourne. Of course, we know now round 23 is locked away. The final game against the Blues will be on Saturday night at Etihad Stadium. Well, for me and all my old teammates, this afternoon will be very special as we come together to celebrate our 98 premiership. After 20 years, memories are starting to blur. No doubt exploits will be exaggerated and fiction will become fact. What is forgotten sometimes, though, is that our last 5 games that year were all away trips. So, with the help of Matty Robran and Nigel Smart, let's turn back the clock.
We've done what we thought was impossible. They've been to Perth, to Melbourne, to Sydney, to Melbourne, and then come back. 15 to 822. What a great performance. They've come from nowhere, KG, and stop crying. They've come from nowhere. Sensational.
But knowing that we'd won it, it's a pretty special time, and to obviously do it with all the other boys as well, which the majority of us we'd done the year before, was just something that I'm sure I speak on behalf of everybody, so it's something we'll take to the grave with us.
The road to premiership glory began 5 weeks earlier when we defeated West Coast in Perth to secure a qualifying final against the D's in Melbourne. The less said about that game, the better.
And they'll be singing long and hard in the club rooms tonight.
We got flogged, and we went out of that game probably with our tail between our legs.
They're going to have to regroup and probably have a good look at how they did play today, and really get fired up for next week.
I think we went down by almost 10 goals in the end, and the way the final system was back then, we were lucky that we still got a second chance and was able to continue our journey.
And that took us to a rain-drenched Sydney.
We ended up actually having a really good win, so it was a fabulous response from the poor effort that we played the week before to really dominate Sydney and win quite comfortably, which put us obviously into the prelim final.
It is all over for Sydney. Adelaide will march on.
Fortunately, we were well managed through the finals campaign.
With Malcolm Blight, it was actually quite good. The way he approached it was pretty relaxed, and I think having that kind of relaxed approach to our travel and the way we did things helped us through a pretty gruelling travel schedule.
And there was never the talk of winning it for the second time. It was basically, okay, this is our next opposition, this is the team we're playing, let's beat these guys, then we move on to the next weeks.
And just like 97, that meant a preliminary final at the G against the Bulldogs.
Probably my favourite game, yes. I was lucky enough to kick a couple of snaggers, and but I think full credit goes to the blokes who were up the field. I got some wonderful service from the likes of Mark Bickley and Tyson Edwards with a couple of their terrific passes.
Thanks for the mention, Matty. Your 6 goals certainly helped, as did a lazy 7 from Bungie.
He kicks from about 55
A 5-day turnaround and we were back in Melbourne, daring to dream.
Who are you going for, Graham? Who's your tip?
Oh, not too good. I've picked the draw. I'm staying with it.
We overpowered the Kangaroos in the last half, and we were really able to savour that premiership feeling.
You get to that point where you're trying to keep professional, but you're smiling so at the other players because you kind of know that you're probably going to win. And I can't remember exactly when that happened, but I know it was happening because I was doing it.
I'm sure the club's proud of what we did. Everyone associated with the team was absolutely proud of what we were able to achieve that year, but also the year before as well.
It'll be great to catch up with the guys again, most a lot greyer and probably no wiser. Still to come on The Crow Show, fans have their say on who deserves the game's top honour.
Much of the talk this year has been about how much the game has changed and recognising the attributes a player needs to succeed. In this segment, Toyota Hybrid Heroes, we ask Crows players what the ultimate hybrid player looks like and which skills and qualities they would like to add to their game.
Crouch, left foot, goes and goals.
My ultimate hybrid player would be Josh Kelly from GWS Giants. His ability to run, and he's like a Rolls Royce, and he also kicks the footy really well, so love the way he plays.
Kelly looks up, a little movement, the shake and bake, gave him the Elvis hips.
The attribute I would want to use in my game would be Buddy Franklin's ability to kick goals from outside 50, or Jeremy Howe and how he can take big speckies.
Well, earlier in the show, Mark named Melbourne's Max Gawn as his tip for the Brownlow medal. Big Maxie is certainly among the favourites. So, who would the fans pick?
Yeah, probably Tom Mitchell. I'm hoping Rory Laird might be a dark horse.
That's a tough one.
Probably Dusty go back. Max Gawn.
Max Gawn.
Tom Mitchell, I reckon. He's just been so consistent with his weeks. He's getting 50 disposals and just, yeah, but I reckon it'll be tight. I reckon Rory Laird will be up there though.
Our turn now to take a pick, and we're looking for a Crow in the crowd. Not many chances left to win this season, so let's choose you. If you recognise yourself, contact the club by 5 p.m. on Wednesday. Be ready with a photo ID, and a merchandise pack will be yours courtesy of Toyota.
That's about all we have time for in today's show, brought to you by Foodland.
Next week, we'll review the Crows season and look forward to 2019. Make sure you're watching to hear from the coach and the captain.
And don't forget, for all the latest news, visit the club website, afc.com.au, as well as Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.
And at the same time, remember our own Twitter page, @The Crow Show.
Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to your company again next Sunday
at 11:30 on 7. We'll see you then.
Bye for now.